Well, it started, guys. It started already. This is an article by James Pearce on The Athletic. I think it's behind a paywall. I'm not sure. I have a legitimate subscription to The Athletic. But a friend of mine was saying, if you get the URL and copy and paste it into a website, archive.ph, the second box down that page, and paste it in, apparently it opens it up. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't do things like that. This is a legitimate subscription. So if you wanted to Google this to get the URL, it's Inside Liverpool and the new FSG, Edwards Hughes Dynamic Scouting Revamp and Multi-Club Latest. Now, we're going to take a look at the article. I can't read it all out to you because that wouldn't be right. There's some key points in here, some things I thought, wow, my chair's sliding all over. There's some bits and pieces that you might be interested in. But at the end of it, I mean, before I even got into this and saw it come up, I was like, here we go. You can't get one paragraph, right, out of the clique of journalists, the clique of LFC journalists, giving us a proper update on what's happening with the contract situation or anything. But you can get a fucking essay, out of the clique of journalists like James Pearce. I'm sure he's a lovely lad. No offence, James. I'm not digging at you. It's your job, and that, you know what I'm saying. So we're just talking about your work, right? But we can get an essay about how great everybody is. Do you know what I mean? Under FSG, Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, and all that. Do you know what I'm saying? So I thought that before I even read it, and at the end of it, I pasted it all in to two different AIs, Grok and ChatGPT. I pay for both of them. And I said, just summarise this. What do you reckon? And I'm going to tell you what it said, right? Or what they said at the end of this. So I'm going to try and quickly go through it because I think it's best that you read it for yourself now that you've got your own subscription to The Athletic, right? So Inside Liverpool and the new FSG, Edwards Hughes Dynamic Scouting Revamp and Multi-Club Latest. It's written by James Pearce with additional reporting by Andy Jones and Simon Hughes. Tomorrow marks this isn't the start of the article, this is a few paragraphs in. Tomorrow marks the first anniversary of Edwards' reappointment by FSG. For FSG, the pivotal first stage in shaping a new era was convincing Edwards to come back. Its admiration for him stemmed from the part he had played in recruiting the team that won the Champions League for Liverpool in 2019 and ended the club's 30-year wait for the domestic title the following season. I remember when he used to just give a nod to manager for winning things. Do you? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I grew up in a different period, but there was always people like Mr. Liverpool, Peter Robinson at Liverpool. People in the background, great chief executives and stuff like that. But these days, they're made to sound like fucking superheroes, Like someone made me laugh on a comment of mine recently in one of my videos when in my Spanish paper reviews that I do each day. And there was a 6-page interview with Deco, the sporting director at Barcelona in sport. And someone went, 6-page interview? We hadn't had 6 words out of Richard fucking Hughes. Let's crack on. Okay. This is Gordon, quoted last March. Michael is one of the most formidable executive talents in world football. And John and Tom and I are absolutely thrilled to have secured his services for our business. Business? I don't want it to be called a business. It's a football club. As Edwards set about rebuilding the football operations structure, his first task was to appoint Hughes. Anyway, right, waffles on, right? Blah, blah, blah. So much has been achieved over the past year, but there is plenty that still needs to be addressed, with a busy summer in store, regardless of what silverware is secured this season. Now, it says here, The Athletic has spoken to multiple sources connected to FSG. I always think when someone says that, they're trying to protect one source to make it sound like it's come from lots of sources, but it hasn't really. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah? Because it throws it off, because everyone will go, that's Michael Edwards saying that, don't you? Normally when we read a Paul Joyce article, yeah? But have you noticed how in them they'll say, yeah, spoke to multiple people? It's like, why are you telling us that? Why do you need to emphasise you spoke to multiple people? You know what I'm saying? I think it's to protect one person. Anyway, let's see what it says, because I can't read it all to you. Edwards speaks to Hughes 3 to 4 times a week during busy periods. during busy periods. So because I want you to mention that, because sometimes people go, Edwards has nothing to do with Liverpool, he's FSG, and all that, right? But to speak 3 to 4 times a week, which is probably more than most fellas speak to the wives. They discuss contract negotiations, potential sales and purchases, and infrastructure. Right? Together they make decisions which Hughes then implements. Hughes fits the mould of how Edwards sees the role of sporting director, with his in-depth knowledge of the subject matter and how he conducts conversations with staff players and agents. Imagine judging someone on how well they conduct a conversation with people. I don't know if I'm just being totally unfair. I'm not FSG or out like that. If you've just stumbled on my channel, I'm not. I don't like them. But I don't hate them either, done well under them, right? Got to praise them when you do well and criticise them when things are going wrong. That's fair in life, innit? I'm old school, so I don't like people that own football clubs just to make money. Do you know what I'm saying? I like it when people put football first and money second, yeah? And I don't think our owners do that. I think it's the other way around. But there you go, that's my personal opinion and I'm fucking allowed it. But no, I'm not FSG out, so I'm not trying to dig at FSG or anything. We're doing really fucking well, yeah. So just want to be. But transparency is good, right? Let me. I'm skipping through because I don't want to lead. You know what I mean? They did target holding midfielder last August, but missed out on the signing of Spain international Martin Zubimendi, who opted to stay at Real Sociedad. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, here we go. Internally, there is a sense that Hughes did not get the wider credit he deserved for the outgoing business that happened last summer. Why should he get any... maybe some, I don't know. I don't want to be, to be honest with you, I don't even want to be reading articles like this. I don't want to be praising Hughes, praising Edwards. I don't want to be doing that. I don't want to be criticising them either. I don't want to know about these people. I don't want to know about Edwards and Hughes and Ward and any of them fuckers. I don't want to know. I want to know about Arne Slot. That's it. Rest of them can get fucked. Go and do your job in the background. We don't need telling how great you all are. Do you know what I mean? It's a team effort. We appreciate you. We do. Thank you. When you bring the good players, thank you. If you sign Chiesa, Sleepy Chiesa, and then we might go, bit of a dud. But we're not going to wait on your name. But we don't want to know about you. We don't give a fuck. All right? But I don't. Anyway, there was a sense that Hughes did not get the wider credit he deserved for the outgoing business that happened last summer. That means he's been speaking to Hughes, doesn't it? The sale of fringe players Fabio Carvalho, Sepp van der Berg and Bobby Clark generated up to £62.5 million, right? Oh, thank you very much for doing your fucking job. Thank you. There was succession planning with the signing of Valencia goalkeeper Georgi Mamadashvili. Well, we're reserving judgment on that one. We're not saying out about that at the minute. He's not doing too well at the minute. But he'll be all right when he gets to Liverpool. I'm not having a go. You're going to be careful. You've got to be careful because people start caps locking you to death online. Hey, you fat. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying he ain't doing too well at the moment. The one immediate addition to Slot's squad, as Rafa Benitez would say, squad, for sure, Federico Chiesa has struggled to make an impact, which was 3 starts in all competitions. But for a knockdown fee of £10 million, signing him from Juventus was always viewed as a low-risk option to provide Slot with a 6th senior attacker. I mean, that's fair enough, do you know what I mean? John Henry's got that down his, that kind of money, that change down back of his sofa, hasn't he, Not that it's his fucking money he's spending, but you know what I mean when I say that, do you? I mean, it's worth a gamble, but unless you follow my content very closely, you probably don't know, or you're confused why he's not involved as much as you'd like him to be. But yeah, we're not going to get into that in this video. But you know what? Yeah, it hasn't worked. Whatever, no big deal, is it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, but didn't someone say that? Was it not is he not the only senior signing we've had in 3 windows or something like that? Can't remember. You don't mind memories, do you? Anyway, Don't matter, James. James said it don't matter. It's only 10 million, fuck it. This summer will certainly be busier. Oh, the war chest is coming out. You know that, guys, don't you? With Hughes having discussed with both Edwards and Slot which areas of the squad need strengthening and short lists of suitable candidates already drawn up. The data-led approach to recruitment which served them so well during Edwards' time as sporting director has been firmly re-established since Klopp's exit. The club's scouting network has been revamped in terms of, well, you get to fucking see it, the benefits. Hughes has led negotiations with the agents of Van Dijk, Salah and Alexander-Arnold. It was arguably the biggest issue he inherited last year. Blah, blah, blah. They keep going on about him inheriting this problem. How long has he been at the fucking club now? I know people will say, well, his official start date was this, but we know that they were doing all the planning and working and all that shit before the official start date, right? You can't cosh him for what happened before he arrived at the club, but I'm not going down this route all the time. That's already been put there. I think that's been dropped again as a little reminder that he inherited the problem, which is factual, right? But how many times do you hear politicians going, well, it was the last government, you know, they've been in office, say, like 5 years, and it was the last government. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that one. That's one to look out for. It's one of those things where you got to go like, well, it is fair to say it did inherit that, but how long have you fucking been there? You know what I mean? So how many times are they going to say that? Just that's something just to look out for moving forward. Pressure from outside the club to seal extensions has been intense, with all three players, but particularly Salah and Van Dijk, excelling this season, but agreeing extensions has proved problematic. Beyond that trio, Liverpool have a host of players out of contract in 27. Hughes is in the process of trying to agree new deals. Conor Bradley, Ibrahima Kanate. A representative of one player who has dealt with Hughes since his arrival at Liverpool says that despite the sensitive nature of discussions and the potential for confrontation, Hughes has a calm, empathetic manner that allows him to negotiate potentially difficult parts of conversation. Come on. No. Or maybe I'm just picking, but it just seems a bit, I don't know sometimes. Another agent described him as honest, good to his word, having been thrown into a tricky situation. Both have referenced the fact that Hughes, who is fluent in Italian and French and has conversational Spanish, has to operate within the financial boundaries determined by Edwards. I think a lot of this has come from Richard Hughes, don't you? 007 in fucking self over there, Pierce Brosnan. Hughes has reorganised departments at Kirkby and sought to improve the levels of cooperation and understanding between them, which suggests that cooperation and understanding before, when Klopp was at the club, wasn't good. I see everything. He makes himself available for players to discuss their situations or talk through matches, taking some of the burden off Slot and he said, fuck off. No. He's not there to. What do you mean? Come and talk to me if we've had a bad game. Oh, God, James Pearce. There's no wonder these fucking journalists, they hate me. There's no wonder. There's no wonder, is there, that I've been hated on all them years when you think about it. But I'm being honest, though. I'm not, like, looking for anything here. Hey, I've defended James Pearce before when people slaughtered him, you know what I'm saying? So, no, I'm fair as fuck. What I'm saying here is I just think the article is arse-kissing. And if you pay attention, right, if you pay attention to the media and how the clique of journalists operate, including, outside the clique, including the likes of Joyce and Ornstein, who are well-controlled and well-managed, you will see these patterns and you will see when these things emerge. Trust me. Talking about the second club, you know, multi-club and all that shit. An audit of suitable alternatives has since been completed and presented to the FSG hierarchy with 20 alternatives to Bordeaux. With 20 clubs analysed from financial, technical and geographical standpoints, 4 clubs have been put forward to do due diligence on. So, I mean, that can only come from Edwards, possibly Hughes, can't it, really? It has been the main focus for FSG Football Group staff since September, with Ward and Marquez making numerous visits to prospective clubs. Edwards has liaised with UEFA over multi-club guidelines. A year on from Edwards' return, Liverpool have successfully navigated what was expected to be the hardest of transitions post-Klopp, and they have. Credit to them, all of them, whether the suits, whether it's the manager, is a head coach, the owners, whatever, we have transitioned. And we've done well. I was a nervous wreck when it was announced that Jurgen was leaving. I saw what happened to Manchester United when Sir Alex left, you know. And obviously I'm old enough to have seen that huge gap since I was a teenager of winning fucking no league titles, you know. And, you know, if you think back to conversations we were having a year ago, guys, or last summer, you know, we were talking about... well, you know, if he finishes above 8th or 6th or whatever, if he don't finish in top floor, we can let that slide in the first year. No one expected this to happen. Now, do they deserve the praise? I mean, they appointed him, right? But is that as far as the praise goes? Yeah, nice one, well done. You identified, you know, a good replacement. That's good, right? But is it him that's done it, or have they all done it collectively? I would argue that they have all done it collectively. You know, they all work together at the end of the day, right? But it's still Jurgen's Klopp's team that's out there for me. All right, so I'm not taking anything away from Arne Slot. You know what I mean? We've absolutely he's brought the goodness and betterness out of some players. You need that refresh sometimes, don't you? Do you know what I'm saying? But I want to see what he does when it's chopped and changed a little bit. Anyway, Liverpool have successfully navigated what was expected to be the hardest of transitions post-club. But with contract sagas to be resolved and expansion plans still in the pipeline, the next phase of FSG's tenure is still only just taking shape. I just want to make sure that is the bottom of the article. Oh, God, see what I mean about that? You can't get a paragraph out of them, give us a fucking contract update or anything. Yes. That's it, okay? That's correct. There we do, that'll do. We'll have that one there. Right. Are you still with me? Okay, good, I hope so. One moment, please. There was one other bit in here I thought you might be interested to know, just in case you don't know. I think we've mentioned this before, but Hughes and Slot have offices next door to each other on the first floor at Kirkby. Very close, you know, so I think if you don't know that, I think it's good to know those little things. Right, okay. So now we're going to take a look at the AI, what the AI had to say. I had the article analysed, okay? Are you ready? I'm trying not to, you know what I mean? Some of it's guff. Bear with me. Here's my analysis of the article, Inside Liverpool and the New FSG, Edwards Hughes Dynamics, Scout and Revamp and Multi-Club Latest by James Pearce, with additional reporting by Andy Jones and Simon Hughes. This is Grok, okay? Grok 3. I've dug into the tone, content and framing to assess your suspicion that the journalist may be overly praising Fenway Sports Group and Liverpool's leadership without sufficient criticism and balance. Below I've listed and numbered the pros and negatives, so the pros, elements presented positively, and negatives, challenges or criticisms mentioned, followed by my reckoning on whether the article is hyping, you know, uncritically or whatever. So if we look at the pros, Michael Edwards' return an elevated role. The article frames Edwards' reappointment as a coup for FSG, emphasising his past success. It lists, you know, Champions League, Premier League, and his new, more senior role at CEO of football. Quotes from Mike Gordon laud him as a formidable executive talent, boosting the sense of FSG's strategic brilliance. Edwards-Hughes dynamic. The relationship between Edwards and sporting director Richard Hughes is portrayed as seamless and effective, built on a 20-year bond and clear communication lines. Hughes' appointment is hailed as a smart move with his calm, empathetic negotiation style praised by agents. Arne Slot's appointment. Hughes' choice of Slot as Jurgen Klopp's successor is presented as increasingly inspired, backed by Liverpool's stellar performance, in various competitions. The data-driven process to select Slot is celebrated as a triumph of Edwards' upgraded analytics model. In the article, it actually talks about Alonso, many people feeling that he was, the main target, but, didn't want to leave the club, his club. Squad management and transfers. The article credits Hughes for shrewd outgoing transfers and succession planning. Mamadashvili. The decision to stick with Gravenberg over a panic buy after missing Zubimendi is spun as a tactical masterstroke. Scouting revamp. The overhaul of Liverpool's scouting network with new hires from Bournemouth and promotions like Matt Newbury is depicted as a forward-thinking upgrade, reinforcing FSG's data-led recruitment legacy. Financial discipline. FSG's "you can't spend it twice" mantra is presented as a sensible, sustainable approach, with Edwards balancing the football budget effectively within these guidelines. Post-Klopp transition. The article asserts Liverpool have successfully navigated the daunting post-Klopp era, crediting Edwards, Hughes and Slot for stability and success despite massive upheaval. Multi-club vision. Edwards' push for a multi-club model is framed as ambitious and necessary for competitiveness, with ongoing work, e.g. auditing 20 clubs, and showing FSG's proactive planning. Leadership structure. The clear hierarchy, Edwards to FSG board, Hughes to Edwards, Slot to Hughes, is praised for avoiding power struggles and fostering mutual respect, allowing each figure to excel in their role. And then finally, number 10, player development focus. Julian Ward and Pedro Marquez's role in academy and loan pathways are highlighted as a strength, aligning with FSG's long-term vision. So there's around 10, real positives, and negatives follow now, like challenges or criticisms maybe. Contract delays for key players. The unresolved futures of Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah and Trent, all free agents in the summer, are acknowledged as a lingering issue. The article notes the wait for clarity is dragged on and extensions have proved problematic, hinting at negotiation struggles. Multi-club delay. FSG's failure to acquire a second club, yet despite it being a key factor in Edwards' return, is flagged. The Bordeaux deal falling through due to financial concerns is mentioned, with progress still in the pipeline. Federico Chiesa's struggles. The signing of Chiesa for 10 million is admitted to be underwhelming, with only 3 starts and little impact, though it's downplayed as a low-risk move. Missed transfer targets. Zubimendi, of course, is noted, though quickly offset by the positive spin on Gravenberg's emergence. Inherited contract mess. Hughes is described as inheriting a tricky situation, with Van Dijk, Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold's contracts entering their final year under the previous regime, subtly pointing to past mismanagement before Edwards' return. External pressure, number 6. The article mentions intense outside pressure to extend the trio's contracts and past fan clamour for summer signings, but frames Hughes' restraint as a virtue rather than a failing. Your suspicion that the journalist is hyping praise on FSG and Liverpool's leadership while skimping on criticism has merit, but it's not entirely one-sided. Here's my take. Tone and framing. The article leans heavily into a narrative of triumph and competence. Edwards' return, Hughes' appointment and Slot's success are bathed in glowing terms. Formidable talent, increasingly inspired, shrewd, with a clear intent to credit FSG's foresight. Even setbacks, Chiesa struggles, Zubimendi miss, are softened with qualifiers like low risk or spun into positives, Gravenberg's rise. This suggests a deliberate effort to polish FSG's image. And that was the bit I thought, before I even read the article, I thought, this is going to be telling us how great everything is under FSG. And there's nothing wrong with that if it's true. So you want to read that, don't you, and hear that with things like, the appointment of Arne Slot, and how Liverpool are doing. But, the contract situations and stuff like that, the failings in the transfer market, but especially the situation that's been allowed to happen here with these players running their contracts now. We want journalists. Well, I want journalists, I don't know about you, that will take them to task and say, hang on a fucking minute, you're doing really well with all of this, but this is unacceptable. Pearce doesn't do that in the article, by the way. He doesn't say it's unacceptable. It just says, well, he's inherited that problem, So like it says here, it suggests a deliberate effort to polish the owner's image. Criticism is present but muted, it says. The negatives, especially the contract delays and multi-club stall, are real issues, and Pearce doesn't ignore them. However, they're presented as challenges to be overcome rather than failures of leadership. For instance, the contract saga is noted but lacks any sharp critique of why talks have stalled or who's accountable. I do apologise. I've just had a drink before this. A soft drink, don't worry. And that's the bit that that's all I want to see from someone like James Pearce or any of these fucking journals, right? Is, the contract saga is noted but lacks any sharp critique of why talks have stalled or who's accountable. Like, you and I will both say, won't we, is it at the lowballing? Where's the journalism there? Well, what's going on? You spoke to multiple sources, apparently, but no one said, well, the reason it's being dragged out is because the players' demands are unrealistic. Because if they said that, or he said that, maybe some fans would go, well, that's not right, because if they're taking the piss, they're taking the piss, because I don't think the club should just give them what they want. I know many of you go, oh, give him this, give him that, blah, blah, blah. Yes, of course. But you've still got to run the club, properly, because if you don't, and you... sorry, I've got a message flashing up on my phone. If you don't, and you just give people what they want, and other players are going to do it as well, and it can cause, an imbalance. Do you know what I'm saying? So... it's just so true. That's it. Nothing in the article there saying, oh yeah. We should be, you should be screaming as a journalist. If I was one of them fuckers, I'd be going, well, what's happening? The fans want to know what's happening. Okay, you can't provide running commentary, but if you're going to give us page after page after page of glowing this and that, at least stand up and ask these fuckers and say, well, come on then, what's that all about? Bang on, bang on, bang on. The Bordeaux flop is brushed off as a prudent retreat rather than a misstep. I'm not really fucking interested in what they're doing with the multi-club thing, by the way, so I'm not going to criticise them or praise them either. Balanced assessment, the pros, 10, far outweigh the negative 6 in number and emphasis. The positives are detailed with examples, quotes and stats, references of sales, Slot's record, while negatives are brief. So the positives are given examples. So James Pearce is giving examples. Richard Hughes, he wasn't, bigged up last summer for what the players he sold. And then he goes into how much money he got, for example. That's what it means there by stats, provided, while the negatives in the article are brief and often neutralised by optimism. E.g., busy summer in store, offsets contract woes. It's brilliant, isn't it? Would you agree with this? I mean, I'm not, trying to put this one way or the other, guys. It's just this is how I read things. And I know what I'm going to read when it comes from certain people at certain times of the year. And then to be backed up, it's just, I don't know, it does it for me, man. Do you know what I mean? It just means to me in my med, no, you're not fucking imagining it, Duncan, So, the negatives are brief and often neutralised by optimism, e.g. busy summer in store offsets the contract woes. This imbalance supports your hunch that the piece is more celebratory than critical. Contextual bias, written on the cusp of a successful season, because Liverpool are thriving right now, the article naturally reflects that glow, but it avoids digging into potential flaws, like whether FSG's financial conservatism limits ambition, or if Edwards' distance from Kirkby risk detachment, opting instead to laud the status quo because he's working about 45 minutes away from Kirkby. Verdict. Pearce is definitely hyping FSG and the Edwards-Hughes duo, painting them as near flawless architects of Liverpool's resurgence. Criticism exists, but feels like a token gesture mentioned to feign balance, then quickly overshadowed by praise. If you're looking for a hard-hitting expose of FSG's shortcomings, this ain't it. It's more of a love letter to their new era than a proper critique. And I would agree with that. And I'm going to say this bit here, where it says it's hyping FSG and the Edwards-Hughes duo, painting them as near flawless architects of Liverpool's resurgence. When you think about it, they're getting more hype in this article than Arne Slot, right? That to me, usually when a journalist is so gushing like this, it's usually because you could argue that the source behind the article is the person or persons that are being heavily praised. So, for example, Paul Joyce, always, Michael Edwards, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, and some people think that everything that you read from Joyce is Michael Edwards speaking. So it kind of backs up that allegation, people that make those claims, right? So I'm not going to go into the other AI. I'm just literally going to read what the other AI said in summary. ChatGPT, it absolutely reeks of an article designed to reassure fans that everything is running smoothly under FSG, despite glaring issues that aren't properly addressed. James Pearce is known for his close relationship with the club, so it's no surprise that this reads like a PR piece rather than a balanced analysis. And that's it. So I don't know. I found the review there interesting. I was just going to go through the article with you, and say, oh, here we fucking go. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just know, like, this happens every year, guys. Whether you want to believe that or not, whether you pay as much attention as me and others. I know I'm not alone with this. I know there's other people out there that will go, here we go. I don't know. I'm really, 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 please believe me, not trying to be negative. I'm not digging at anybody here. Well, maybe the journalist a little bit. But, it's James Pearce and it's what you expect from James Pearce. And like I say, I do not have anything personal against James Pearce or any journalist, anybody out there in the world. I love everyone. But I think it's fair, like if people watch my videos and go, his videos are shite, he waffles on too long, he could get that out in 5 minutes, right? I would agree with that. I struggle sometimes, like my memory's all over the place. But that's me. I can't help who I am, you know what I mean? So I can't change that. But if you're putting yourself out there, then you're allowing yourself for people to have an opinion on you of what you do, right? With my videos, right? Some of you love them, some people will fucking hate them, right? The journalists, when they write, it is perfectly fair for us to say, come on, James. Yes, mate, there's a lot of positives in there, right? A lot of positives, and you are right. And rightly so, people should be praised for like the appointment of Arne Slot and things like that. But don't go soft on these fuckers, That's the problem, because with these journalists today, they need the access so much. It's so managed and controlled, and this isn't just at Liverpool, this is with all the big clubs, that, if you're a journalist working for The Athletic and you're not coming up with the news, well, you're not really good, you're not an asset to the company, are you? So they're going to get rid of you. And I can imagine that, being a journalist, a football journalist, is probably a very difficult thing, because you're competing to get exclusives, which doesn't happen anymore. So what can you do? What's the next thing you can do if you're not in that inner circle of Ornstein with the owners, the FSG people, and Joyce with Edwards and Hughes and that? If you're just, you know what I mean? Like, what can you do? So they have to, if you think about it right, in a positive way, and big up these fuckers, because Edwards and Hughes are going to read this, right? Yeah? And they're going to go, yeah, he's a good lad, James, yeah, speak to James. Yeah? Whereas if he's on there, going, fuck off, like me, fuck off, do you know what I mean? What's Edwards going to take one? He'll go, that fucker on YouTube, he's not helping things, is he? But we all want to be on the same page. That's what I do. I want Edwards, Hughes, Slot, FSG, the journalists, you, the supporters, me, the commentator, whatever I am. I want us all to be on the same page. I want what's best for Liverpool, But I just don't like it when they do this kiss ass, you know, like what happened to the journalists that used to go, hang on a fucking minute, and there ain't none, because if they challenge, then they get cut out even further, all right? And I think the best thing that could ever happen, right, is one of these journalists, right, instead of sticking with I'm going to kiss their asses, which is what they all do. If you watch anything the Click do, they all kiss their asses, Edwards and Hughes and FSG and that, all right? All right, Remy. They all kiss their asses, yeah? And instead of being one of them, I would much rather, one of them proper journals from back in the day, because, I mean, some of them used to write for big publications. They're all, what's the word now? Freelance, unemployed, self-employed, whatever you want to call it, I would love it if one of them had the bottle and went, you know what? I'm going to be different. I'm going to be different to all the others, all right? I don't give a fuck whether I attend a press conference or not. I'm going to create my own following, and I'm going to give proper, impartial reporting of Liverpool Football Club. I'm going to have a Patreon or something like that. And real, proper fans. I mean, I nearly said real fans, and that could be insulting to some people because I hate that term. What makes someone a real fucking fan? But what I mean, people with a real interest in real journalism, I would fucking support that person and say, I'll fucking support you, brother. I will, Not a quid either. He is 10, 20 quid a month or something. There isn't one journalist out there that does that now. There isn't one. And if you look at the big YouTube channels that are all about Liverpool and that, they're doing the same thing. Okay, we look at all this fucking revenue we're generating now, we'll get an interview, let's just keep it when things are going wrong, all right, when there's a crisis, that's when you see which journalists are the ones with the balls, and the same with the YouTube, with the content creators or whatever. Because then they're the ones that will step up and ask the questions. You know what I'm saying? I think about this stuff all the time, guys, and I don't know. I just wish there was balance. That's it. I wish there was balance. That doesn't mean I want a journalist to go in like a raging fucking madman. I mean, we lost 1-0 and he's like, where was the fucking blame for this? There's plenty of them FSG out, you know what I mean? I don't mean that, I just mean someone that's fucking impartial, like a proper journalist. I thought journalists are supposed to be down the fucking middle and not be on anyone's side. But you can, just the minute you see who an article's written by, you know what's going to be in it. The fan positives in relegation. If it wasn't, if we got relegated, it wouldn't be disaster. Liverpool have been relegated for the first time in fucking centuries or something like that. No, it would be, well, Liverpool fans are so lucky that FSG saved the club years ago to save them getting relegated fuck right. I know I'm right. Right, I'm off. What do you think of that article then? Would you agree with that? There's lots of praise in there, and praise is warranted, I think. I think there's some things deserve to be praised. But I would agree with the summary there that says there is some balance, like, little bits of, the contracts have, but play it down. No, it's not important. Don't matter. You know what I'm saying? So, and because you're getting to that period now where there's still no contract signed, right? The Trent one, I don't think Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards can do anything with that one. If the boy wants to go and play for Real Madrid, there's nothing they can do. You've just got to hope for a U-turn, do you know what I mean, at some point. I'm not sure that's going to come. But with the other two, Trent and Mo, two of the best players at the club, probably, well, I don't know if they're the best, but Mo certainly, and I don't know, everyone's got different opinions. But certainly they're going to be like, the longer it's going on, they're getting squeaky bum now. So I think you're going to see more articles, right, from this clique, reminding us how fucking good everything is in case they fail to secure them. I don't think they will fail to secure them. I think they'll sort it. But I just think you're going to get this inherited the issue. If the shit hits the fan and someone does leave, right, excluding Trent, it's going to be, oh, well, Richard Hughes inherited this. And you've got to turn around to yourself and say, well, is that, he did inherit it, but how long has Richard Hughes been there to try and do something about it? And if there's something missing, what is it, guys? What's wrong? If it's not money, what is it? What's wrong? We know it's something to do with finances and durations of a contract, etc., right? Isn't that the point of what he should be doing in that article? And saying, well, what's the crack? Why, this is, you're taking the piss, yeah? I think you'd agree with me. Anyway, if you appreciate this video, please give me a thumbs up. All right, it's not easy sitting here for 40 fucking minutes trying to go through all that. You know what I'm saying? If you appreciate the video, please give me a thumbs up. Please drop your comments. Your comments are so important. You know, the discussion's really good. And I would advise you, especially if you watch this video when it first goes live, come back later or the next day. You'll see some cracking comments. Sometimes I read stuff and I'm like, I never thought of that. You know what I'm saying? So please do leave a comment. Everyone wants to see what you got to say. Please, you are important around here, you know. All right, please do leave a comment. And if you want to buy me a coffee, you know, I'll be in the cafe tomorrow morning reviewing the Spanish papers. Oh, it's so difficult. Please click the... I'm not saying please. Nah, fuck that. I'm not begging. If you want to get me a coffee, then you can hit the super thanks button. It's the love heart under the video. And I will give you a shout out in tomorrow morning's morning briefing, which will be on my other YouTube channel, youtube.com/Duncan. And that's where my morning briefings are now. Please subscribe to that. I'm going to say please to that. And we'll see you over there. All right. Okay. What time is it? I don't know. My watch is fucking flat. I don't even know what time it is. Right. I'm going live on here tonight on this channel about an hour before kickoff. All right, guys. All right. Cheers. Archive.ph, my friend says.